Well, I thank the chairman. The one word that has been consistently missing from my colleagues on the other side of the aisle today is heartbeat. Because my colleagues on the other side of the aisle don't want to start with the concept of heartbeat. That's what this law is titled. That's what drove and motivated the people of Texas, was to protect life when there was a heartbeat that was able to be identified. Every one of us in this room has a heartbeat. Every one of us knows the tie of heartbeat to life. And that's what is at the center of this whole conversation. But my colleagues on the other side of the aisle don't want to start with that. And if you listen to what my colleague from Maryland just said, when he was starting from the proposition of what it means in terms of banning certain abortions at certain times, or as he was saying, a national ban, as he was hypothesizing, he's starting from the premise, not from the starting place of life and trying to defend life, but from the standpoint of law with respect to our current abortion law. But that's because my colleagues don't want to start with the concept of life, because it's a messy business. As my colleague from Texas, Mr. Gomert, described earlier, it's a messy business. There's been a lot of misinformation floating around about the Texas bill, right? Saying that it's a flat-out ban on abortion, yet there have been still 2,000 plus abortions in September after the law took effect. I don't think we have the data for October yet. 2,000 plus abortions. Now, I will acknowledge that that is an over 50% drop from the 5,000 and something abortions in August. And the question I was going to ask of our witness, who obviously is no longer here because we didn't meet for 2 hours this morning, and now we're meeting at night and she was not able to be here. But what I was going to ask her is, what conversation would she like to have with the 2,000 to 3,000 lives that will be walking this planet in September alone? The 2,000 to 3,000 lives that will be walking this planet because of this bill. Now, I know my opponents on their side of the aisle want to fixate on Roe or Casey. That's fine. We can have those legal debates. But what we're talking about here are human beings and life. That's what is at the center of all of this. And the question becomes, and as my learned friend from Maryland talked about, he said the vast majority of, I think the exact phrasing, but a non-viable fetus in the first trimester in the context of abortion law, okay, Texans decided through their elected body in the state legislature to say that if there is a heartbeat detected, that life should be protected. That's what the people of Texas decided. And then I hear all of this sort of wailing and gnashing of teeth about the construct of the law, about how it's novel. Yet this construct is very similar, for example, to a state law, say Colorado, telling a cake baker to bake a cake under Colorado law, despite conflicting with a deeply held religious belief of the baker, and then forcing the cake baker to decide whether to proceed in the face of possible private litigation, challenging his or her decision, and whatever that means in terms of cost and impact, and then find a way to litigate his or her First Amendment rights in state or federal court. And we act like this is some sort of novel concept, but it is not. This is a debate. And this is the kind of thing you litigate, but we've got people in Texas saying, hey, we think life is worth protecting. I would note, as I said before, that there were 2,000 abortions in September. In Texas in 2020, 49,000, almost 49,000 of the 54,000 roughly, I'm rounding, abortions were less than 10 weeks. And what we're talking about here is saying that if there is a heartbeat, that we do everything we can to protect that living being. And we talk about vigilante justice. What we're talking about is the ability to go bring suit in defense of a life. That's what we're talking about. Nothing more, nothing less. But it's everything. And again, I would reiterate, my colleagues on the other side of the aisle will not want to, have not wanted to, talk about the heartbeat. because they know it undermines their position. I yield back.